Look at that. The shallot and onion seedlings have germinated. Now it's just been a few days. I'm going to take them off the heat mat and move them closer to the light. Hello garden friends and welcome back to my channel. So we're back in the basement in my grow space working on starting strawberries from seed. I'm starting my strawberry seeds in these 5x5 microgreen trays from Bootstrap Farmer. This is the best way to start strawberries because I do have to put them in the refrigerator for a cold stratification period. So for simplicity, I'm starting 2 varieties and I'm going to put them in each container. Now for those who are new, welcome. My name is Marcia, also known as the Black Thumb Gardener. I'm based in Canada, USDA Zone 6, where I start all things gardening sprinkled with a bit of travel. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Now the varieties I'm starting today are Fresca and also Pink Fruit Berry Basket from West Coast Seeds. I have one more variety of strawberry seeds in my collection, and it's the Mignonette Strawberry from West Coast Seeds. Now I'm not going to be starting those today because I started them last year and I have tons of strawberry mignonette seedlings in my garden. I don't need to start more, so for now I'm just going to start these 2 varieties. Today I'm planting some of my strawberries. These were grown from seed. These are mignonette strawberries. I purchased the seeds from West Coast Seeds. I had them planted in another bed and I've just dug them out, cleaned up some of the dead pieces, divided them, and now I'm going to replant them in addition to 2 more strawberry varieties that I've purchased. This is Seascape and Albion. I believe the Seascape, they're both large and medium-sized strawberries, I think. I can't remember from the pamphlet, but these are both ever-bearing. I can't recall which ones the mignonettes were, but I'm hoping to kind of mix them amongst the different varieties, and I'm planting them in this bed and in another bed. Now before I start, strawberries come in 3 main types. You have June bearing, ever bearing, and then day neutral, kind of like the onions, but not really. Now the June bearing, or we call them short day strawberries, they produce a large crop once a year. It's usually in late spring or early summer around June, which is why it's called June bearing. And June bearing strawberries are great because if you get a big batch at the same time, it's great for preserving or freezing or even making jams. Now the ever-bearing strawberries, and I should say that the Fresca and the Hot Pink Berry Basket are both ever-bearing strawberries. Now they produce 2 to 3 smaller harvests per year, usually in spring, summer, and fall. They're great because you can continually eat fresh fruit throughout the season, and all you have to do to continue having the plant bear fruit is to pick the fruit continuously. You just have to keep picking that fruit off the plant and it will continue to bear throughout the season. And then day neutral strawberries, they produce fruit continuously from late spring until frost, as long as the temperatures are not too hot or too cold. If it's past February and you haven't started your strawberry seeds indoors, don't worry, you can always purchase starts from your local garden center. Last year I picked up the Seascape and Albion ever-bearing varieties because I didn't start a big fruit-bearing strawberry indoors. I only started the mignonettes and they were really small, and I wanted additional varieties in my garden. So do what's right for you. If you want to start seeds indoors or you want to buy starts, it's perfectly fine. I will always supplement my garden with starts as well because, you know, when you go to the garden center in the spring, there's lots of fresh starts out there for sale, and I just can't help myself. Just a note while I'm starting these seeds, I do want to say that I am placing the seeds on top of the soil and pressing them in. You do not need to plant these deeply. These are very, very fine seeds, and with fine seeds, you're not planting them deep. Just consider the bigger the seed, the deeper it goes. Now, once I've planted the seeds, then I'm just lightly pressing it into the soil, misting it over, putting some vermiculite and misting it again. You're going to find this throughout all my videos. This is my process for seed starting. Now I'm just going to label it with, this is painter's tape that I'm using. I started off with masking tape and it just wasn't working well. So I'm using painter's tape and again my garden marker, which is waterproof. And that's basically it. It's pretty easy, but I think the key here is not to plant the seeds too deep or you will not get germination. Now, with strawberry seeds, you do have to cold stratify them, meaning they have to have a period of cold in order for them to germinate. Now, I'm just tucking these in the refrigerator for about 3 to 4 weeks. So come back at the end of February to see the progression. I'm just putting them in Ziploc bags. You don't have to do this, but because I'm putting it in my refrigerator and I have other things around it, I just like to protect the container by just putting in a Ziploc bag. And it's easy to take in and out of the refrigerator. Now, no shade, my refrigerator needs to be cleaned out, but I'm tucking them in the crisper. It keeps them away. It's not an area I go to very often, and I'll come back about 3 to 4 weeks and pick them up. Now that my strawberries have been started, it's time to head on the road.
Okay, so we're at the garden center, my local garden center, and this is my favorite one because they just have a lot of variety of seed starting mixes, fish emulsions. They even have worm casting. So this is the place I go to stock up on everything. Now, my only goal today is to get some seed starting mix. This is a pro mix that I didn't get the other day, and also some fish emulsion if they have it. Last season, I found that I couldn't find fish emulsion anywhere, and so I had to use the Pro Mix organic fertilizer. So I'm not going to get seeds today. I really hope I stick to my rules, my 2025 goals, and let's see if I do. It's really hard here at Vandermeer. They have the best seed selection, and it's very tempting when you're in a store and you have a seed addiction to not buy seeds. And my goal is to not buy any seeds unless I'm restocking. And when you're in the garden center, everything is like perfect. It's seed starting season. They have all the stuff out. You just want to look at everything. You want to pick up a few seeds, maybe some bulbs. I'm really trying to stick to my rules. So let's check it out. So I want you to know that I tried. I tried really hard, but they just had so many seeds and so many new companies that they're carrying, and I broke down. But I purchased seeds I didn't have. They're brand new, and I was supporting a Canadian seed company. So I think that's a win, right? That's a win. They didn't have Pro Mix, which is disappointing because this is the place I go to pick up my Pro Mix, but I think it's too early and they really haven't put everything out for seed starting, and I think they will carry it later on. And I did pick up the fish fertilizer, but it was quite expensive. It was about 20 bucks, and I'm used to paying about 15 bucks for fish fertilizer. This is a new brand, but when I get home, I'll show you my haul. But yeah, I need to go back and revisit my 2025 garden goals. Okay, take two. We're at Sheridan Nurseries. It's on my way home. That's the only reason I'm stopping here. Let's see if they have the Pro Mix, and if not, then I'm just gonna wait for another month and see if it comes out. So that was a fail again. I guess Pro Mix either is not putting out their seed starting mix or they're coming out really late. I'm gonna check Amazon as my last resort. And if not, I'll just wait and just continue to use the Jiffy mix. It's a great seed starting mix, so I'm just gonna use that for now. But a cool thing that happened in Sheridan Nurseries, I met the representative for West Coast Seeds. So shout out to Rad. It was cool speaking with him. And I told him about my trip to Vancouver in October and how I toured the West Coast Seeds store, but I didn't get a chance to really tour the gardens. And he recommended I come out in summer to fall in order to really get a great tour of the gardens, the entire experience. So I'll make sure to note that for next time. But I was starting to smell this fish smell around me, and I had no idea what it was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do I stink? But then I realized when I got into the car, my fertilizer, the fish fertilizer that I purchased, spilled in the car and was on my purse, was on my jacket. And, you know, it happens sometimes. So I've cleaned it up for now, but my car smells like fish.
Okay, we're back in the basement again, and we're going to be starting some eucalyptus and snapdragons. Now, I'm wearing my kind of house clothes. This is my garden shirt, and it's gotten messed up with bleach over time, so you can see a bleach spot in the middle. But I use this for all of my gardening, especially when I'm outside, because it just covers my arms. And we're going to start with some seed starting mix and get that mix set up. I finally remembered my mat. Now, if you love starting seeds indoors, but you don't love the mess, this is the perfect tool for you. This is the Mackenzie Snap Tray. It's a waterproof foldable tray designed to keep your indoor gardening clean and organized. Whether you're starting seeds, potting plants, or just need a spill-proof surface, this tool has you covered. This is not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by Mackenzie, but I do love this tool, and it's great, especially if I'm starting seeds in my kitchen and I don't want to create a mess. This tool does it all. For now, I'm growing my Snapdragons and Eucalyptus in this 12-cell Grow East tray, but once they germinate, I'll have to be careful and potentially separate them because Snapdragons need consistent moist soil, while Eucalyptus, once established, prefers drier conditions. So I'm starting off with Eucalyptus, and when I'm looking at my Eucalyptus container, I realize that I have 2 packs of Eucalyptus seeds. They're the same variety, they're from West Coast Seeds. The colors are different, but I guess these are different years. Now I realized I ended up having 3 years of Eucalyptus seeds, and fun fact, over the 3 years, the price increased by 50 cents. So not only do I have 3 packs of the same variety, but I also have paid more along the way. I'm going to use the older pack of Eucalyptus seeds, and now this may be an issue because the longer that you have seeds in storage, the lower the germination rate that you're going to get. Now, there isn't a lot in this Eucalyptus seed pack, and Eucalyptus runs about between $6 to $7. The most recent year, I actually paid $7 for these Eucalyptus seeds, and I think only 20 seeds come in a pack. So as you can imagine, it's a very expensive seed. So I'm just going to plant the entire thing, and if I don't see germination in the next 10 to 15 days, then I'm going to take the other pack and I'm just going to start them over. I always grow my eucalyptus in containers, especially clay pots. They don't like their roots to be sitting in soggy soil, so you need to have well-draining soil when growing eucalyptus. The other thing that I do is I keep them in full sun. They require 6+ hours of daily light, so ensure that you're putting them somewhere that's getting sufficient lighting in your garden. And while they are drought tolerant, I've neglected them significantly throughout the season. When they're young, you just need to keep on watering them throughout their growing cycle, because if they do dry out while they're growing, they will die. Listen, I am struggling to get the last seed out of this container. When you're paying $6 to $7 for 20 seeds, you better believe I'm going to get every single one. So I finally got all of them. Time to start these seeds. Now, true to the strawberries, I'm going to tuck these just on the top layer of the soil, and then I'm going to press them in and spritz them with water. Similar to the strawberries, these are very fine seeds. I'm not going to plant them deep, and even the back of the packet says to lightly cover the seeds and keep moist and warm until germination. When I see lightly covered, to me that just says nope, 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 I'm not going to cover them. I'm just going to lay them on top of the soil, put some vermiculite, and just make sure they're really moist. That's the key. I always say moisture, moisture, moisture during germination, and that's the same here. Now, because I have 20 seeds and only 6 cells that I'm using, I'm going to apply a few seeds per cell, and that should be enough. I don't think 100% of these will germinate. Again, these are older seeds. I think these are from 2022, if I am not mistaken. So again, I'm not expecting 100% germination, and that's okay. I'm not trying to grow 20 different eucalyptus plants. I really only need one plant. I don't use eucalyptus a lot. I really use it for bouquets during the summer, and so I'm really just looking for one plant out of 20 seeds to germinate. So I'm pushing these down to ensure that there's contact with the soil. I'm checking my hands because these seeds are so tiny, sometimes they end up back on your hands. So I'm just lightly pushing them down to make sure there's contact. Now you don't have to follow me, you can follow the instructions and lightly cover them with soil. I've done that in the past and I found that I didn't really get good germination that way, and that could be because when you cover them with soil it becomes too deep, and again these seedlings do not like to be deep into the soil. Even at the garden center, the cashier said to me that, oh, good luck, it's really hard to germinate these seeds, people don't have a lot of luck. And I said, yeah, I know, I've grown these before, I've had success. And she even said, do you even get a plant in the first year? And I said, yeah, of course I get a plant in the first year. She goes, oh, it really takes a long time. It takes 2 years to get a plant. So again, this is not for beginners. I do not recommend eucalyptus for beginners, but if you are going to try eucalyptus and you are a beginner gardener, then I do recommend just laying the seeds on top, because when you're starting off, you really don't know how deep you're planting a seed, and so this just prevents any issues, and I think will drive a higher germination rate than if you had just planted them deep. Okay, moving on to the other side, we're going with Snapdragons. Now, I haven't purchased any new Snapdragon seeds. I'm using seeds from, I don't know, this is probably like 2021. But, I'm not really invested in Snapdragons. I like to grow them, but it's not a must-have for me. So I just continue to grow the same seeds from years ago. Again, you don't get great germination rates, but you know what? Snapdragons seeds are so small, and I have so many of them that it doesn't even matter if some don't germinate because I have so many seeds. Now, Snapdragons come in variety of types. They differ in size, color, and growth habit. And usually from a height perspective, you can get dwarf Snapdragons that are great for borders and containers. You can get intermediate Snapdragons, they're about 12 to 24 inches, that are great for flower beds and cutting gardens. And then you can get really tall Snapdragons, 24 to 48 inches, and they're great for cut flowers and garden backdrops. Now, what I'm growing is the tall deluxe Snapdragons. I've had these seeds forever. I purchased them from Baker Creek Seeds, and I still have to put up my video on the seed companies that I use, but Baker Creek is another company that I love to purchase seeds from. So I'm growing those, and really I use Snapdragons for my bouquets. I love adding them in, and they're fun to play with because the Snapdragon, true to his name, if you open the mouth it snaps back shut, and it's just a fun flower to grow. Now this is the same process as the eucalyptus. I'm just patting these seeds down. I try to be careful to not cross-contaminate, because sometimes that happens if you're planting seeds in the same container and they're in different rows, and sometimes you will find cross-contamination, but I try to be very careful. Pat these down, and then you'll see that I apply the mist over them just to make sure that they adhere to the soil. Okay, now that we're done, I'm going to place this on a heat mat because it does require heat to germinate. I mean, you can do without heat, but again, I just like to put it on a heat mat to start germination. I'm going to stick it in between the onions and leeks that we did, and that should fit. And then once they've germinated, I may move things around over time. Now for the cleanup, I'm going to show you why this mat is amazing. And you probably already know, or you probably have one similar to this, but cleanup is a breeze. I just kind of fold everything into the middle and dump it into my container. I'm just going to reuse whatever I have for my next seed starting activity. I actually have a lot of seed starting mix in here, and unfortunately, I started more mix than what I needed. And when that happens, not to worry, I'll just put a cloth over the container. And if the seed starting mix dries out, I'll just rehydrate it and start it over again. Not to worry, I just don't like to waste the seed starting mix. It's so expensive, so just try to reuse what you have. And then after that, I just wash out the mat itself and leave it to dry, and that's it. Very, very easy process.
Okay, so we're back. It's the next day, and we're gonna go through my haul from Vandermeer Nurseries. I did pick up some seeds, and don't shame me. I know I said I wasn't gonna buy any more seeds, but I had to. These were so beautiful, and these are native plants to Canada, new seed company, and I just couldn't help myself. So I think I'm still within my goals. Like, I don't have any of these seeds. I'm justifying this to myself, and I am. I deserve these. I deserve to buy them. So let's go through my haul. All right, so this is my haul from Vandermeer Nurseries. I'm gonna start off with these items. So these are free, and I highly recommend, if you live in Canada, you're at your local seed company or at your local garden center, that you pick this up. So this is West Coast Seeds. I'm not sponsored by them, but I really just love their brand, their seeds, the quality, their website. It's full of information. Just love the company. Anyways, I picked up their gardening guide for 2025, and I'm sure I ordered this in the mail anyways, but this is our gardening guide for 2025. And the reason why I pick it up every year, outside of all the seed varieties that you can purchase, which is tempting, I'm not gonna look at that for right now. But what is good about this guide is, I think it's the middle. Where are you again? Oh my goodness, I keep losing my spot. Again, there's so much information, but this is what I live for in this guide. So depending on the region of Canada that you're in, I'm in Southern Ontario, but I'm just on this page for, you know what, let's go to Southern Ontario. Southern Prairies. Where are you, Southern Ontario? Southern Coastal BC. Here we go. Southern Ontario and Greater Toronto. This is my page. Why I love this guide is because it gives you a timeline of when to start your seeds indoors, when to direct sow, when to transplant, when to cover. Like, it's great, and it's just packed and condensed. So for example, if we look at asparagus here, you can see that it's telling me to start indoors in February, and then you can see that it's telling me to transplant it in May. This is the best guide. I think you can find this on their website, but just in case you can't, I think you can order this, but it should be available at your local garden center. But again, this is free. These are free resources, and I highly recommend that you use them if you can. Again, if you're in the US, I don't know what they have in the US in terms of those seed companies, but West Coast Seeds, if you're in Canada, get this guide. This is amazing. Okay, the other thing that I picked up from the garden center is this companion planting guide. And I already have this in the basement, but I pick it up every year. Again, this is free. And I just keep it in the basement because this is a great tool. Look at this. Look at the companion planting chart. Now, I talked yesterday about leeks and onions and what you can't plant with them, what's great as a companion plant, what's not. And if you look here at leeks in their companion planting chart, you can see that beet, carrot, celery, onion, and spinach are great companion plants, but legumes are not. And I said yesterday that beans, as an example, were not a good companion plant with leeks. So this is a great guide. I keep it handy. I'll take this outside with me when I'm transplanting just to double check, okay, I'm gonna plant mint. Mint is not good with parsley, so I'll separate them. Again, free resources from West Coast Seeds. And if you don't have a local garden center near you, or if you're in the US as an example, you can go to West Coast Seeds website. And if you pull up something like carrots as an example, you can pick a carrot variety and look at the bottom of the page, and it will show you what the companion plants are and what not to plant it with. So even if you don't have the guide near you, you can always go to their website, and I'll go to their website. If I have a specific variety, I'll go on their website and look what to plant the seedling with or what not to plant the seedling with. So again, great resources. Again, I'm not sponsored by West Coast Seeds, but you know what? West Coast Seeds, you should be sponsoring me the way that I'm talking about your company. But anyways, I just love their tools and resources. I love their seeds. It's something that I use on a regular basis. So again, try them out and let me know if it's helpful for you. Anyways, going on to the seeds. So when I was at the garden center, I picked up seeds, and I know I shouldn't pick up seeds, but I noticed that there were some new seed companies at the garden center, and I'm all about trying new seed companies, especially if they have unique seeds that I'm not used to growing in my garden. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to buy new seeds, but when I went to the garden center, there were some new seed companies that I found on the racks, and I'm all about trying new seed companies, especially seed companies that are native to Canada. They're selling native seeds, and they're selling a lot of things that are unique that I don't necessarily see on other seed racks, and things that I have never grown in my life. So starting off, again, these are native plants. All of these plants need a period of cold stratification. Just like the strawberries that I've planted, I've put in the refrigerator to cold stratify for 3 to 4 weeks. These plants all need cold stratification. Again, they're native plants. They're used to being outdoors in the cold during the winter. And so I'm going to winter sow all of these seedlings, I'm going to winter sow all of these seeds. So starting off, we have cardinal flower. And the reason I picked this up is because it attracts, I think it was hummingbirds. What was it? I don't have my glasses, but yes, it attracts hummingbirds and butterflies. So I'm always trying to grow things that will attract bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, birds, just because I it's nice hearing them and seeing them in the garden. And I'd love to provide a safe space for them so that they can continue to multiply. So this is a cardinal flower, and it looks gorgeous. So I'm going to be growing this year. I've never seen these varieties except for this, but I've never seen these varieties before. So the next one is the bottle gentian, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I just thought the bloom heads were interesting, and I think this will be really nice in the garden. Again, look at the zones 3 to 6. And then this requires pre-treatment. And when they say pre-treatment, again, you can see here, wet and cold stratification required. Again, best way to do this, I think, is just to winter sow them. The next one I have is the Maximilian sunflower. I love sunflowers. I don't really grow a lot of sunflowers, but I think this one will be cool. This is again a native plant, also requires cold stratification. And again, the reason why I picked this up is because it has countless blooms throughout the summer and fall and a heavy crop of seed that is enjoyed by birds and small mammals. Again, another reason why I picked this up. This one is purely for harvesting. This is anise hyssop. And I'm always trying to add things into the garden that I can harvest and use throughout the fall, winter, especially herbs and other and to create, to dry herbs and to create tinctures and such. So anise hyssop. I've actually needed it in a recipe and didn't have it and had to go purchase it. So again, this is something I'm going to grow. I'm going to harvest and I'm going to dry. Next, we have the butterfly milkweed. I'm trying to drive monarch butterflies to my garden. I know they love milkweed, and I picked up this because I'm going to be trying milkweed this year. None of these, by the way, are on my seed timeline, so this is just going to be winter sowing. I'm going to do a video just on winter sowing these. And this one is, and I'm just trying to read this here, important nectar source for pollinators and host plant of the monarch butterfly, less toxic, more shrub-like, and spreads less aggressively than common milkweed. And that was what caught me. I do have milkweed, common milkweed, but this one, because it said it spreads less aggressively, this was something I picked up, and I think I'm gonna grow this instead of my common milkweed. Okay. Next is the Canada anemone, and this is, I believe, part of the anemone family. It's a native ground cover, which I thought was interesting. I do want to spend more time researching and looking into adding more ground covers to my garden. And, ground covers are helpful because then it prevents weeds. And I have a lot of weeds in my garden because, sometimes my neighbors, they don't pick their weeds or deal with them, so they end up coming into my garden. I'm always on weed duty every week, so this is, I think, going to be helpful. Now, I do grow anemones from corms. I don't have any corms right now, and I don't think I'm growing ranunculus this year for the first time in however many years, or anemones, but I think this will be a good alternative, and it will be something that will continue to come back every year, and I won't have to keep growing corms every year. So again, this is zones 3 to 8 and also needs cold stratification. Okay, now that we have the flowers out of the way, we're gonna get to the veggies. And did I have to do this? No, but they were cool. I don't have them. It's something unique. So here we go. First is tequila sunrise pepper. And I picked this up because of the name and the color. Look at that orange. Doesn't it look gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about tequila sunrise. The reason I picked this up is because when I was in high school, when you were at graduation, the seniors would go to a beach and they would call it tequila sunrise. You basically went to a beach and you drank on the beach, and they would call that tequila sunrise. So I remember all my years in high school looking forward to one day graduating and doing this tequila sunrise with everyone else. It wasn't that special, by the way, but tequila sunrise pepper. That's why I picked it up, because just, memories from my youth. Next is the blueberry tomato, and the problem with this one is that this one is an indeterminate tomato, and I've really transitioned to growing more determinate tomatoes in my garden just because I don't have a lot of space, and I hate trying to manhandle an unruly vine that's just getting out of control and growing wildly. I don't have a lot of space for that sometimes, so I have found growing determinate tomatoes works for me. but you know, I picked this up because I thought this was so interesting, this blueberry tomato. And this is a cherry tomato, and it has a rich and sweet flavor. So it's a flavor that I was interested in, and also the color. Am I gonna try it this year? I will probably start 1 or 2 seeds and then see where it goes from there. And maybe with my trellising system that I put up, I can find a way to just manhandle this or finagle this on some sort of trellis. Okay, last 2. Next is King of the North. Now this is a re-up. I had King of the North, but I ran out, and I have found that it is hard to find King of the North. These peppers grow really well in my region. So this was more a re-up, and I'm just, again, trying the cut leaf seeds. This is different, actually. I realized this is cut leaf seeds, and then these ones are Northern Wildflowers, but they were on the same rack, so I think they're from the same mother company, I guess. Again, I'll do some more research into who they are. I don't know who they are, but again, I'll do some research and report back. And then last but not least, I have the early jalapeno peppers. I've never grown jalapeno. I don't know why. I'm a Scotch bonnet girly, and I just never had a need to grow jalapeno. Listen, I don't really grow things if I don't cook with them. That's kind of my general rule. So I'm trying the early jalapeno pepper just because I've been making these chipotle bowls from scratch, and they always require jalapeno peppers. So I think it'd be really cool to grow jalapeno peppers this year, and then at least pick my own jalapeno peppers and make the chipotle bowl. So that's it. This is my haul. These seeds, however, are expensive. These seeds are $5 a pop, and now that I think about it, not too expensive, because I'm going to show you the eucalyptus seeds from West Coast Seeds, and I have several years of them. I have 2022, I think, 2023, 2024, or 23, 24, 25, and you can see every year is the same number of seeds, but the pack gets more expensive. And I think those seeds are more like $6.50, but they're a specialized type of seed. Most seeds that I get from West Coast Seeds are between, I think, like, you know, $4 to $5 or $6. So I guess this is not so bad, but you know, buying all these seeds, I think this alone cost about 50 Canadian dollars. So okay, so it was 23, 24, 25. So my 20, oops, backwards. This way, this way, this way. Okay, so 2023, $6.49, 2024, $6.79, and 2025, $6.99. You can see how the prices jumped over the years. Same seed, same number of seeds, same packaging, higher price.